We're soon 2 weeks into preseason training. How has things been going so far?
Things have been great. First of all, I think it was good to get back together. We've been off for about 6 weeks now, and it's great to get the team back together and lay some of the groundwork towards the season.
So what will happen now up until the league starts? What different stages are you going through?
Well, we broke it up into a number of stages actually. The first 3 weeks we're focusing on some tactical elements of defending, and as we progress, we'll lead into attacking play. And the first couple weeks specifically are without friendly games. As we progress into the preseason, we're going to start playing friendly games. Then we have a training camp. Then we have a little bit of break, and then we start really focusing on the last 5 weeks, preparing for actual season play.
So how is the fitness of the players? Is it an easy start now, or do you start tough from the start?
It's different. I would say it's different from last year in the sense that we're not doing so much condition-based running. We're doing more playing, and we eased into it a little bit more than last year. I would say that the workloads are still very intensive, but it's more of an easement than it is going from the start.
And also you do most of the session indoors this preseason. That must be pretty well comfortable comparing to.
Yes, I think it is. Part of the benefits of going outside last year was you build a strong character, obviously, when you're training in minus 14-degree weather and it's snowing and doing whatever and icy fields and stuff. But you also have the injury factor, which is something to consider. And we feel that with warmer weather, obviously the conditions are controlled. We feel like we'll be able to prevent some injuries as well during this preseason phase.
This is your second year as head coach. What are the biggest differences for you coming in this year compared to last year?
I would say the comfort level. Obviously, last year you come in, you're new, you don't know the group that well, and everything's new in terms of the training, the preseason. So this year's the comfort level is there. I'm a lot more comfortable with the preseason planning, a lot more comfortable with the group, and it's without adding that many players this year. It's the same guys. So we hit the ground running. You don't waste the time that we did last year getting to know each other, and we're going right from day one.
Yeah. A number of players left from last year, and a few ones has come in. Has that affected the dynamics in the group in any way, or the atmosphere?
I'm not too sure. I think that because we didn't add that many players, the group is consistent, I would say. We cut down the numbers a little bit, but the core is there. The core group of players is there. So I think the team dynamic, the atmosphere in the team is excellent, and I think it's a good group of guys, and guys that like each other and like being around each other.
The new players, we're of course very curious on them. So how would you describe them, starting with Kristoffer Karlsson?
Well, Kristoffer Karlsson we're very familiar with. We've got to see him play a number of times last year, and we played against him obviously twice. And he's a dynamic player. Very dynamic, very good 1v1, and he gives us an element that we don't really have in the team, and that's the ability to take players on and the ability to dribble through a number of players. So we're confident that we're going to be able to work with him and get him to be a very dynamic player in our league.
And Michael Timisela, not as familiar here in Sweden and Superettan. What do you say about him?
Well, he's a player that was obviously schooled well, growing up in the Ajax system, and he's technically very good on the ball. He's played over 125 games in the Dutch First League, so he has experience as well. He's used to aggressively marking an opponent and playing when he gets the ball. He's a good passer, calm on the ball, and we feel like that's a good combination to have at the right back position.
And also a new keeper, Tim Markström. What have you seen of him? He trained a bit in the last year.
Well, Tim has experience. He has an experience at the level below us, and he was on loan abroad for the second half of last year. So you know, he's going to give us a little bit more experience at that backup goalie position, and he has tremendous height. And you know, speaking to our goalkeeper coach Mila, he thinks he can really work with him and develop him into a good goalie.
But you're still looking for a few new names, right?
Yeah, you know, we're constantly reassessing the squad, looking for potential weaknesses. We're trying to make sure we have depth in every position. So that's our focus right now. Really trying to find the right player that can strengthen the squad. We don't need many, but there might be 1 or 2 additions before this transfer window is closed.
So with this group of players you have now, do you feel comfortable?
We certainly feel comfortable. I mean, that's without question. It's a group that can really relate to each other, can really focus on something, and I think it's a good group as well, a strong group. And I'm a lot more comfortable with the depth that we have in the squad compared to last year, for example.
But with depth and higher quality, there's not going to be room for everyone, obviously, in the starting 11. Could that be an issue? I mean,
of course, it can be an issue. I mean, guys want to play, guys want to be on the field, but part of the message to the group on day 1 was the team comes first, and it's about building a successful team, not building successful individuals. So, you know, if the team has success, the individuals will have success as well, and that's the message. And you can only pick 11 players for each game, so there's going to be guys that are going to be disappointed, and we want that disappointment. We want guys fighting for positions and pushing each other, making each other better, and that was the message.
So in a couple of weeks now, the first friendly game comes. What can we expect from these first few games?
The first games are designed to build fitness. We know that we're not going to be perfect in those games. We know that it's not going to be, we're going to be working on things. So the important part here is everyone's going to play 45 minutes, and it's going to build the fitness base, and we're going to progress those playing times as we go through preseason.
There's going to be like a progress during these friendly games. I mean, in ways of playing.
Yes, ways of playing, levels of opponents, all that. I think we're going to, you know, we start with somewhat weaker opponents, and we progress to harder opponents as preseason goes on. Looking at, you know, the physical shape of the guys, the physical condition, we want to make sure that it's not too much for them too early. And part of that, just like the training load, the game load is also going to be graded as well in terms of increasing from lesser opponent to harder opponent.
When the league starts in April, what do you expect from the guys, from the group you're having at your disposal?
Well, again, part of the message to the guys on day 1 is we want a team that's going to compete in each and every game. And it's not taking any days off, because we feel like, especially in the second leagues and mostly around the world, they're competitive, and you have to show up every single game. So that's what we're asking the guys. There's 30 games, show up for every single game and compete for every single game.
Obviously, you're familiar with most of the opponents in the league, but there are 5 new teams, both from Allsvenskan and from the lower divisions. Have you started studying them yet?
A little bit. I saw the 3 teams that came down. I saw them play numerous amount of times last year. So right now we're just getting information on their roster. There's going to be obviously some change in those rosters from last year. And the opponents that came up, we haven't spent too much time on them, but we're gonna get into that as well. And you know, they're going to be tough. It's certainly not going to be easy. We feel like the quality of the teams coming down is pretty good. So those are certainly going to be candidates to get promoted again.
So what teams do you think will be the toughest opponents this year?
Like I said, you know, we have the 3 teams that got relegated. They're going to be good teams. And then you have, you know, some teams from last year that were coming on strong. Ängelholm was strong towards the end. We had Varberg that was coming on, difficult to beat at home. And, you know, I think that there's a number of good teams in our league.
It's a very special season for the club, switching arenas in mid-season. How do you think that affects you, the team, football-wise?
it will affect us a little, but you know, we're not about making excuses. We see this as a positive. Obviously, you know, to say goodbye to Söderstadion is monumental. It's meant so much to so many people for so long, and the guys feel special to be a part of that. I think we're going to relish the 7 games that we get to play in Söderstadion as, you know, as an end of an era. So that's special. And then, you know, obviously moving into the new stadium is huge. It's huge for a club like Hammarby to be moving into a stadium like that. That's, you know, that's the envy of most stadiums, most clubs in Europe, to be able to play in such a futuristic, modern stadium. So we're looking forward to it. We see it as, you know, challenging, yes, but also very positive and very exciting for the group.
You got to know the fans last year. What do you say of the support Hammarby has?
I'm in love with it. You know, plain and simple. I think it's a great group of fans. I always say this, but especially when we go out, we play away from home. You know, I mean, home is the best in the league, you know, without question. But away is also great, and it gives us that support. It gives us that, you know, that push in our back when, you know, when we're against the wall to really go out and do it. And you know, we had good results last year on the road, and a lot of it was because of the great support we got. And then, you know, the home games are, as much as we can we make it an intimidating atmosphere for the opponent, and we've done that, and that's been good. And I think that the atmosphere that's created by the fans at home makes it a special place to play.
And expectations are high among the fans and within the club. How are you going to deal with them?
Well, I think they're high for a reason, because we built them high. You know, from the performances that we had last year, you know, we've progressed to a team that people expect us to win, and we expect that from ourselves. So it's about, again, it's about taking it game by game, and you know, refusing to lose, saying this is what we're about, and we're going to come to play every single game. And you know what, we will lose some games, but it's about being professional enough to put ourselves in position to win every game we play in.
So what are your hopes and dreams for this season?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing that everybody wants. You know, that's for sure. We want to go to the first league. That's without question. How we do that's a different story. You know, there's 3 places that can potentially go to the first league, and we want to be in one of those 3 places at the end of the year.